Hello, my dears. My name is Mariana and welcome to my channel. Today, we're going to talk about the top tarot reader mistakes. So when I was compiling all my ideas on this, I realized there's a lot to talk about. So today, we're just going to talk about the mistakes that you might be making when reading for yourself. And next time, we'll talk about the mistakes that you might be making when you're reading for others. Keep in mind that these are just my experiences of working with other readers, of being asked questions by newbie tarot readers, and I've just kind of compiled the mistakes that I've seen others make and that I've made a lot myself. You might disagree with some of the things that I call mistakes, and that's awesome. This is my practice, your practice is your practice, and that's the way it's meant to be. If you're new here, hello, my new friend. I'm so glad you're here. If you're old here, make sure you're subscribed. I am doing a video every week now, so you want to know when that's happening. And don't forget to go follow me on Instagram for daily psycho-spiritual wisdom and tips on witchery and everything good. I'll see you there. All right, so here's the 8 mistakes I see all the time happening when you're reading tarot for yourself. Number 1, you're not centering yourself beforehand. I know this seems like kind of an obvious thing, but so much of the time we think, I really need some guidance around this. I really want to know where I should be going, what I should be doing, so I'm just going to pull some cards. And when we do that, while it might feel like an instant gratification, we're instantly looking for an answer, we're not actually connecting deeply to what it is we want to know. Before you pull cards for yourself, you really need to get centered. And sometimes that means getting centered in the mind. Maybe it's just doing a brain dump and writing down all the things that are going on for you. But a lot of times it's getting centered in the space of the heart. It's really knowing what you feel, where you are. Just doing that step before you begin reading for yourself will give you more clarity on what it is you really mean to ask. So often I see clients do this, and I do this too, where we come with a question like, should I leave my job? But really the question is, how do I put myself in greater alignment with my real purpose in life? Centering before you start pulling cards is absolutely going to draw you into what your soul really needs to know. So make sure you meditate, or make sure that you at least spend some time in quiet reflection. I think a really good way to sort of center yourself before you start pulling cards too is maybe just to say a prayer, invoke a deity, invoke an energy that you want to be present with you in the reading, and it's just going to be so much more successful. Number 2, not really being clear about what you want clarity on. Now, I am in no way saying that when you pull cards for yourself, you need to know exactly what it is you're looking to know. I pull cards all the time, just seeing what comes up, seeing what energies are calling for my attention. But when you are asking a specific question, which so many of us do when we come to the cards, and you're not clear about what you really want to know from that question, you're going to be extremely confused. For example, if you want to know whether you should leave your job and you ask the card something like,
is this going to be the right decision for me? Or should I think about something else? Or maybe should I talk to my husband first?
Your cards are going to be all over the place. You need to ask something a little bit more direct, like, am I interpreting this energy correctly? Am I really sensing this pull to leave my job and try something else? So I recommend just know what it is, what you really want to know, be clear, and be open to what you get. Number 3, not being willing to change your question. This happens all the time where you're in a reading, you're asking about your career, and you're pulling cup after cup after cup, and you're like, what in the world is going on? Sometimes the cards will actually be answering a question that you didn't know you actually intended to ask. What I mean by this is when we're asking about our career, but we just had a fight with our partner, we're feeling really torn up, we don't really know what to do with these feelings, the cards are just as likely to answer those emotions as they are the actual question that you asked. And I see this happen a lot more when you're reading for yourself than when you're reading for other people, because when you're reading for yourself, all of you is present at the time of the reading. So even if your conscious mind is asking what to do with your career, there could be an unconscious part of you that is far more interested in how to heal this moment between you and your partner. When you start seeing cards that are bringing your mind to other parts of your life, go with that. Don't resist it. The cards are here to answer your deep questions. They're here to give you guidance. If they're not giving you guidance in the thing you asked for, that doesn't mean the guidance isn't still valid. Whatever comes up in you, whatever feels like it's being resolved, allow that to be what's being resolved. Let the cards give you the real wisdom that they're trying to, and stop trying to just throttle them for the answers you think you need. Number 4, you're expecting a solution. So this one really goes back to the last point. So often when we pick up cards, we're asking the cards to give us the answer. But again, the cards are not yeses and nos. The cards are portals of psycho-spiritual depth. If you go to the cards with a problem that you don't know how to solve, or a situation you just don't know how to resolve in yourself, you have to be willing to let the cards give you reflection rather than giving you answers. And I think this happens for 2 reasons. The first is we still expect the cards to tell us our future. And I know a lot of you are going to be like,
no, I don't use them for fortune telling.
But is that true though? Don't you still kind of use them for fortune telling? The truth of the matter is we still kind of come to the cards asking them to just be able to divine what we have to do going forward. The second thing is we're afraid that we can't actually find the answers within ourselves. So the cards, more often than not, are giving us possibilities. They're giving us the potential of the way our life can go, of the different paths we can take. They're reflecting our life back at us. And so our job is to take that reflection and alchemize it and figure out what is it that it's guiding me to. Maybe this is giving me clarity on where I can go forward. But maybe what these cards are trying to do is to point to, this is how you're feeling, this is how you're experiencing the situation. And just knowing that a little bit more deeply, maybe that is enough for you to make a decision on it. It's really just about not expecting the cards to give you the solution, not expecting the cards to give you the answer, but allowing them to be mirrors that reflect back the truths that you might already kind of know, but really need to focus on in order to find the answer within yourself. Number 5, you stick too much to the spread. We love spreads. Everyone is always so spread crazy on Instagram. There's like thousands of spreads all the time. It is so overwhelming. And spreads are great. They give us a framework to pose our question. They give us specific points where we can maybe get a little bit more insight. But sometimes, a lot of the time, you're gonna come up with a card that does not fit in that specific placement in a spread. You might pull a card that asks you what you need to release to move forward, and you get like the sun. But sometimes a card will come up and not fit into the spread, and it's just coming up because it needs to be in front of you. This is when we start to read a little bit more intuitively so that we can allow ourselves to step away from the structure of the spread and say, you know what, the sun is here and I don't know why, but it's making me feel like I need more joy in my life. And that is great. That is the point of reading for yourself, so that you can be in conversation with your depths and not be so like mentally exacting about what your answers are going to be. You just have to go with the flow a little bit more, and I think you're going to have a lot more successful readings. Number 6, you're using the wrong book. It's inevitably going to happen, especially if you're a newbie tarot reader, that you're going to come to a card that you don't remember what it means. And that is fine. It is totally okay to go to the book. A lot of tarot readers will say,
don't go to the book, use your intuition, just see what's in the picture, just flow with it.
And sometimes that's great. Sometimes that is really just exactly what you need. And sometimes you need somebody to tell you what this means. So if you're working with a specific deck, and then you use a book from another deck, things are gonna get really confused. For example, if you're using the Wild Unknown Tarot and you pull the Hierophant, and then you're using the Wildwood book, and you see that the Hierophant is actually there called the Ancestor,
and that it doesn't really have to do with spirituality as much as with healing ancestral wounds, and then you're like, wait a second, I thought it meant that, and this does not really look like that in this deck, and then, well, is this really trying to tell me something else than what I thought it meant?
And you're just gonna get so confused. Make sure that whatever deck you're using the book that goes with that deck. You can also use a standard book like 78 Degrees of Wisdom. That is always usually a pretty good go-to if you don't always buy the book that goes with the deck. But in general, I always get the book that goes with the deck because I want to know what these creators, what energies they were putting into the individual cards so that I get really accurate and really connected readings. Number 7, asking again. You cannot ask the same question twice. If you pull cards that do not make sense, you cannot just keep pulling cards. This is the #1 rule of tarot. The reason is maybe the cards that came up are just totally off topic. Maybe they give you something that makes absolutely no sense to you. You can just walk away from that reading. You don't necessarily have to keep pulling cards until you get the perfect answer. What happens when we pull cards that don't really make sense for the question we're asking is that we don't have the clarity and the perspective to understand what these cards are coming to tell us. If you're asking about having a fight with your partner and how to heal that, and you pull justice, maybe your first instinct is, this doesn't make sense for me. I'm expecting a cups card. I'm expecting the lovers or something. But that's just because you don't have all the information. Some of that is just in your unconscious space. Maybe what justice is coming up to tell you is that you are not being fair to your partner, and you're obviously not going to be able to take in that advice or that wisdom because you're just still in the mindset of, I'm right and I just want this to be over. The point is that the cards are always reflecting something back at you, but we're not always ready to get it. You have to be patient. If the cards don't give you the answer that you thought you should get, leave it alone. This is not the question for you in this moment. Don't pull more cards. Don't go into a panic that magic isn't real anymore and that you made all of this up. Take a breath, take some time, come back to it when you're ready, and the cards are going to be a lot clearer, I promise. Number 8, and the biggest mistake I see all the time, is not contemplating what happened in your reading after your reading. When you're reading for somebody else and the reading is done, it's done. But when you're reading for yourself and it's done, there's still a lot of work to do. We have to look at tarot readings sometimes like dreams. If you contemplate a dream enough, it'll eventually give you a message. And that's the same thing with tarot. Maybe you pulled some cards and you look at them and you say, I don't know what the hell's happening here, but don't give it up. Keep coming back to it. Keep thinking about it. Keep thinking, why did the 3 of Cups come up for me? What is that about? Ask your friends for input, or become a patron on my Patreon and ask me. The point is that you can always get other people's input or just keep contemplating on your own, and eventually, I promise, you will realize what it was there to tell you. It's not always going to be immediate, and this is our big mistake with tarot. We think we're going to see it and it's going to click. It takes time to digest things, and we have to allow it the time to really be integrated. So just sit with the cards that came up. Maybe take a picture of them and make it the background of your phone or something so that you keep reminding yourself to think about it. Just don't give up. Don't look at them and go, okay, I guess I got something out of this, and then just walk away. You're leaving so much on the table, so much wisdom and so much depth, and take it. It's yours. So my friends, thank you for joining me. I hope you got something out of these. I hope you maybe got some perspective on some mistakes you might be making and how to resolve them. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to go follow me on Instagram and consider becoming a patron. I am so excited that my Patreon community is growing and that there's so much cool stuff I'm offering. There's just a really beautiful community forming, so go check it out. Get some tarot goodies, get some real good psychospiritual wisdom, and thank you. I appreciate it. Don't forget to come back for part 2 on what mistakes you're probably making when you're reading for others. And yeah, have a beautiful, meaningful day.